can introduce Leo Neufeld. From his bio, I didn't choose to be an artist. I feel compelled to do this work, like I was born to paint in the tradition of the old masters. The old masters are profound in their interpretations of life, and art provides a deeper, more meaningful way for me to connect with, observe, and interpret the world. In the act of creation, I feel connected to something greater than myself. This universal feeling transcends time and space. Art is the divine line to God. Art is an expression of humankind and has been with us from the beginning of civilization. I believe this need for visual communication is part of a vital need to feel alive, to document life, and to be part of the life around us. Art making provides a way of seeking truth. Art will always be with us. It is a part of who we are. So with that, I'd like to turn this over to Leo Neufeld. Thank you.
Of course, we need to give thanks to Herschel and Esteban for this wonderful lighting and organizing the exhibit. And Herschel was so meticulous in really helping me hang. We did it together, and it was quite wonderful to do that. You know, it's words are not necessarily what I admire, even though the poetry is phenomenal. I'm a visual person, and I pick up the energy that's around me, so I'm in the process of doing that right now. And we'll see where it goes and what comes out of my mouth. The show, the exhibit, I think it's really cool. I mean, it's really, I've never seen an exhibit of a landscape, a portrait, a landscape, and a portrait. It's very unusual. And everything that's hanging is done in New Mexico, which I think is really significant. And to me, as soon as we put the talus on the painting, on the wall there, that was not planned, that was not premeditated. And putting it on the wall, it's interesting that that wall is the only wall that's painted a different color. As soon as we put the talus on, it became a sacred object. It became this symbol of something much greater than a painting, in my opinion. And yeah, it's really, I mean, this could be the show as far as I'm concerned. This could be the whole exhibit. I know that sounds a little weird, but it has so much strength and power and dignity and all that good stuff. You know, I'm not sure what to tell you about everything here. I mean, Herschel suggested I talk about some of my experiences with these sitters. I mean, I've done about 5 paintings of Herschel. 3 of them are here. And he has, what you represent is something that I grew up with. And being raised in Milwaukee in an Orthodox shul, if I get emotional, no, that's a good thing. When I think back at my history and my parents, in my experience, I have to say that Lynn was the first rabbi that ever taught me joy in Judaism. She knew songs, she knew how to embrace people and bring us together. It was really remarkable. I don't know if she knows that. I'd love to tell her that someday. And I just came back from Israel, and referring to Herschel and what I felt when I was in Israel, I would look at these people and I felt like they were family, that they were people that I grew up with and that I knew. And I miss that. I miss having that deep connection. We were talking about that, you know, what does that mean? So, the intimacy that I feel when I'm painting somebody is beyond words, as painting is beyond words. And you go deep. It's not the surface. You have to go inside the person. And you feel them. You feel their soul. You feel, what is it about them that makes them so special? People say, well, do you work with photographs? Yeah, I use photographs to supplement my work. But if they couldn't pose, it wouldn't be the same. It's not even close. But when I get out of the studio and paint the landscape, I get to explode and feel this enormous energy and vitality of the landscape, of call it God, call it a higher power, and my incredible humility of feeling that love of what I'm looking at. You know, how can you capture it? Is it possible? You know, when I think of Van Gogh, I think he painted straight out of the tube. I don't even know if he was mixing. And how close can you get? We're only working with paint, but yet when you can transcend, and it becomes something way more than just paint. It becomes this whole other visual communication. Again, that was how I was raised. Because as a boy, I didn't really speak, and my connection with life was through my eyes. And I would watch people. That's why I love painting people so much, because I love watching them and studying their faces and getting inside of them and seeing what is it about them that makes them so special and unique. The landscape, I don't know, I'm still struggling. You know, I think the humility of when I look at the greats through history, why am I getting so choked up? Their ability to translate life is so profound, it's so poetic, in ways that are so sophisticated that I can't believe it's a human being that painted that. Where did their strength come from? Their insight, their ability to translate it into the canvas, into paint. I find that really extraordinary. And those are some of my best friends. And I really miss them. I lived in New York City for 10 years.
Yay!
And I got to go to the Met constantly, and I studied and I painted there for 6 months, doing copies of some of my heroes, and went to the Art Students League for 5 years. And people came there from all over the world to study, and it was just magnificent. I mean, so much talent. And it was great. It was great to be surrounded by all that inspiration. So I think the real trick, or the real goal, is to find inspiration. You know, if I was to leave you with anything, I was thinking about this on the way over here. What is it that is important? And I think the creative, when I was learning, I was doing a portrait recently for some friends back in Israel. It was from photos, but still it was wonderful. I realized that the creative process is a miracle. And while you're doing it, you're in God's light. And I can't think of anything more important to do with your life, or anything more profound. So maybe we can translate a little bit of this. Herschel's volunteered to pose. I don't know how far we're going to get, but we'll see. In that, this is an oil sketch, a study. Maybe I'll continue afterwards, you know. We'll see where it goes. I mean, I'll spend, people say, how long does it take you to do a painting? And I will spend seasons, you know, on a painting. It will start in the fall, we'll go to the spring, you know, who knows? It's not unusual. So let's see how this goes here. See if this light, hopefully this light isn't too bright on the other. Does anybody have any questions or anything that they want to reflect on before we jump into this part? All I want to say is, before you ask any questions, once I finish the drawing, I'm going to work in Vine charcoal just to get it sketched in. Then you can start talking to me. But until that happens, I need to be focused. But does anybody have any?
Yes, I do. So, not to overshadow you at all, because you do beautiful work. So I was a staff illustrator for the National Review. I teach her over there, so that's Edna. And I'm fascinated with this one in particular.
Jean, the landscape?
So, it looks like there was a certain era, a classical time for painting that was studied. Like the old masters were studied to bring about that kind of look and style. So I'm
Right. Good point.
particularly struck with this one. I mean, the portraits are beautiful, but this one, so I'm wondering about the inspiration, how it came about.
Right. Hold on the younger.
Okay,
So right on for you. You nailed it.
beautiful,
Thank you.
spectacular.
Yeah, all throughout history, one of the things is how many artists really painted the person.
Like, so when you paint a portrait, you feel them.
Yes.
Like, do you feel like you're peering into their soul, or?
Right. So if you think of Rubens, it really wasn't the model. He had a story. It wasn't about the model. Van Dyck, one of his students, was about the model.
And so when you're painting a portrait, do you feel like, so do you ask them about their life? Do you talk with them while
Right.
they're painting?
I do.
While you're painting, rather? So
Right.
you're doing, so that was always the part that fascinated me, that people could have the ability to paint or draw somebody while they're moving and still capture them.
Well, I had to learn to do that when I was doing portrait commissions, because if I wasn't talking to them, they would look really bored. And I didn't want that to become part of the painting.
But that is highly admirable. See, I just work straight from portraits. I would not have that ability. So how long did it take for you to master the ability to capture somebody while they're sitting and talking and moving their head? How long did it take?
Well, I quit my job in '74,
Okay.
and that's the truth. So I can't say it was a few years. It really took many, many, many years to come to where I am. And it's still happening. Hopefully, God willing, you're still evolving, that you're not, that you keep going. The painting of Jackie was done, I think, a year ago. It was one of the best painting that I did.
Which one is that?
Jackie Dominguez with the mosaic frame.
Yes. And
And that, I
so,
think, was the best painting I did that year. And that was fairly recent. That's one of the most recent portraits in here.
And I guess it looks like you're inspired by the Impressionists as well. That's
Oh,
a combination of the two different styles. Very interesting, because I've never seen that in a portrait before.
A lot of the 19th century artists were doing that. It's not
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
So I must have been asleep for that part of our history.
We can go to a museum and check it out. I'm happy to. I'd love to.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for your question.
You're welcome.
Okay, so let me just get this going. All right, so if anybody else is ready for me to pick it up?
They're under the archer.
Oh, go ahead, Stephanie. What are you thinking?
Thank you for your feeling and expressing it, and bringing some explanation and words to what I can see when I look at it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Blessings to you also. All right. So let's see what we got here. Okay. Is that going to be too bright? Okay. I may have to turn these lights down a little bit because, yeah, do you mind? Hi there. Yeah, because it's blocking. Light is really critical. If you don't have good lighting, it's whatever. All right, so let's see what we got. Oh, that's good. Very nice. Very nice. Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you. So I can just say that when I'm going for the oval, the axes, and then the blocking, which is the construction, the shadow patterns, which is how you form. light and shadow create form. And sometimes I use my mirror to see the reverse, to make sure things are opening up. It's got a little high. I'm not going to go too far with the drawing, just want to get it laid out a little bit. I'm already starting to see him, which is kind of amazing. That's good. Okay, now let's do that. All right. Now let's see if we got it. Oh, here's my palette. I'll just show you my colors. This palette's only about 5 years old, and I retired my other one that was 30 years old. It had so much paint buildup. I clean this, I make sure this is all clean, then I just build this up. I scrape off everything on top now is fresh from today. And so we'll see, and I draw more paint, but we'll see if I need more paint. I don't know. So I'll try to keep it pretty simple. Put this over here. You know, a lot of times I feel like I've been, I don't know if saying spoiled is the right word, blessed, privileged, but it's really a double-edged sword. It's never good enough, and you're always struggling and always wanting it to be better. So I'm competing with myself constantly and praying a lot that it will be better, but anyway. I've had some pretty amazing instructors. All right, so let's see where we go. We can take a break in a minute, and just, once I get logged in. Yes. All right. So just going for the shadows now. I look at it in the mirror because I want to see distortion, meaning there's a thing called double aspect, which it means that things are going this way and we'll get things more balanced. It's not sometimes it's hard to see that. I think it is kind of a miracle when you start to see it come to life. We saw a hell of a long way to go that there was nothing on here a few minutes ago. And right now I thought there was a face that's sort of right. Maybe just a little bit. there are a number of people through history that felt you had to do it once today. And I'm not one of those people. But I admire their work. And I've studied a lot of them. So this little stick is, so I'm touch the surface. And I'm still working from dark to light. This is still, okay. This is, how are you doing, Rachel? I love you still the silence. It's okay. What's that? What did you say? I love you still the silence. Sounds the very thing always friend. Would you need a stretch or anything? Okay. Let's keep going. Does anybody have any questions, or should I just keep on pretending that you're wrong? I'll keep on going. I'm sorry you missed the talk. It was really good. Was this on Friday?
I just had my eyes dilated.
Okay. Sure. It is,
Okay.
with a little bit of schmutz.
Okay.
That was not, some people say, what color are you using? There's a lot of stuff going on here. So I started dipping into that. That was a lot of titanium ornaments on the canvas, or it's not like that. Just to kind of get rid of that. This is why the bristle brushes are so important. Okay? Because you can't do it with synthetics.
The scrubbing.
Yeah, can you imagine a girl painting with synthetics? Okay, yeah. If I was Picasso, it would be finished. My God, it's a miracle.
Or you would have drawn it on a napkin.
What's that?
Or you would have drawn it on a napkin.
Well, I think I've paid millions of dollars. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
All right. You should have some music or something. Let's get this going here. Okay, let's see what we're working here. Okay, so I'm building a light. And mixing on canvas.
See something else.
Here's something to blend. It's really fun. So I'm getting a clean brush for blending. Let's see what that does. Kind of feathery blend.
Why do you like painting so much?
I guess you represent something. That's really so. But your grandpa's like so. It's kind of a personal question. But it's a good one. I was going to your question. Alright, let's see what's there. So now it's going to start to slow down pretty dramatically. I'm not going to bore you. Once you get to a certain stage, it starts to really slow down. Take away from the beginning. One thing that's important, I don't know how many people are here because they're painters, they want to study that, but it's really important to have warms and cools. You know, like these photographs on the cover of magazines, people, suntans, they're like airbrushed. They're like their skin doesn't look like skin at all. It's really airbrushed colors. So it's really, so I'm putting in some cools right now. That's why I said that. Pretty much just been warm and putting in some cools. something's happening, which is nice. It's moving along nicely. I gotta say, it's not like I do this every day. Have people watching me. You know, I always said is being an artist of performance art, or is it a, countenance, but it is interesting. One of my best friends in New York said he did it once and he almost had a heart attack, so he said he would never do it again. I'm not feeling any of that busyness, but it is good to be here. So I'm calling on my friends through history. Whenever I try to paint like this, I think of Robert Henry. And I don't know if you know his work. When they had the show at the museum of the house painters and their followers, the guys, there must have been 200 paintings, and his was certainly by far the best in the whole show. And it was because he works from life, and most of them did not.
He worked from life.
He works from life. Robert Henry, he could get it one sitting, and he would wipe it off the canvas. So it's like a big brush painting, wet into wet. The way I like to look at all these paintings here, except for simple landscape, I like to build up layers, layer on top of layer, get the luminosity and the depth of it all. It takes, there's something about oil paint that allows that to happen. And also the medium, it's, when you think of the masters and they would hide their medium, what they used to paint with, how they would thin their paint down, they would keep that a secret. Are you praying over there?
What's that?
No, I'm talking to him.
Oh,
I'm making a joke. I like what you're doing.
Oh, you did?
I like it. All right, anyway. The medium, I happen to be working with mirror shade medium, but it allows the paint to become translucent and have this luminosity, this richness. Okay, so that's a huge thing. I'm not holding any secrets. I don't take responsibility for anything that I do. I've been teaching for almost 40 years. And I don't want anyone to paint like me. I think it would be too painful for them to do that. I mean, it's a lot of, really going for it. You're just constantly, wanting to do better. And I kind of wonder how long you can keep on doing that to yourself before you pull your hair out. And Hirsch is one of those guys. With his furniture. And what he just did at the hotel, it's brilliant, right? Everybody saw his hotel. They need a new building now to add on to the hotel. No, I'm serious.
Go for it, Herschel.
Is it not true? It's so, we'll have to move another building over here. I believe that. Wow, it's kind of, it's a little cartoony, but it's moving in the right direction. Cartoony meaning I like more subtlety for me, but some people don't care, which is fine. And what's so amazing is that every artist theoretically has their own language, and that's the beauty. Is that you walk into a room in a gallery and you know immediately who it is. Whether it's a Renoir or Monet or Rembrandt from across the room. And it's really, it's huge. That's a huge thing. You create your own language. And so I'm just gathering in a little bit of that. I'm seeing a lot of Herschel in here already. It's David Lefel said you can get a likeness by the shape of the head and one eye. I don't know if you've ever heard that before. It's, it's interesting what you remember from 40, 50 years ago and what you forgot to eat for lunch, today. No, it's really true. I don't even know if I ate. On a more personal note, since we're being open here, I think the further you go with your art, the more you're alone. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, you are.
I think the further you go with your art, the more you're alone.
What do you mean by that?
You're
Creatively
separate
or
from the majority of people. Because you're in such a personal world, you create this personal world. I know that sounds kind of harsh, but there is some truth in it. It gives me comfort to believe that. It doesn't mean you can't have friends and you can't be social, but your communication is that it depends. I mean, I have lots of artist friends, and that's the truth. And a lot of them talk about their career, and I'm not interested in that. I don't care about that. I've been very blessed that that's not my focus. Although, it's always good to sell a painting. But still. So I'm going to take a break in 1 second. It's actually come a lot further than I thought it was going to. I really do. I would like to touch up the eyes after we take a break, but I'll just do a little bit of a contour. So there's an idea called lost and found. So if you're looking at a painting, let's say Velasquez, and you should go look at his work, how do you make something look three-dimensional, that it's in the room with you? And if you cut it out, then it's flat. But if you start playing with the edges, it kind of starts to move, it becomes alive, and has dimension. So that's when I want to get a little bit more. Some of these contours, I really love this, what's happening in here. I would not want to touch that, I probably will, but it doesn't need it. Because it's alive. And it's a life of its own. Okay. Now let's take a break. Do you mind? I think I need some wine.
Did you say those are war brushes?
Yeah. There's a funny story because Bob, who he was helping Krishna Portel, did amazing work. I was painting this Orthodox rabbi in town from the Chabad because his great uncle was an artist. Otherwise, they won't pose for you, right? Orthodox people won't pose. So he was willing to pose for me, and then when we were painting, and he said, "What are those brushes made out of?" And as soon as I said "or," the painting would start.
Took up rain.
Because he wanted kosher brushes. It's a true story. Let's looks a lot better up close. Yeah, go ahead. It looks a lot better up close. It really should. Karen, how you doing? Nice to see you. Thanks for coming. So sweet of you to be here. Sweet of you to be here. So we have one of your paintings, so I don't give you that.